Okay, class. In the group, I have sent you a message that kindly share your topics which you want to discuss. But there is only one student who have shared the topic. He shared the topic that is your memory. That is your computer memory. Okay. So let's discuss about what is memory. Can anyone tell me about what is memory? Any idea about memory?
In my idea, memory is the place that store all documents or all information, and computers at most of the times stores files and instructions in it.
Okay. Then what is storage?
Storage mean keeping something in some specific place.
Okay. Okay, let's start. So computer memory, that is your different type of your data storage technologies. Okay. That is used by the computer. Generally, computer is made up of your combination of different types of your computer memory. It is simply electronic component that holds the place for your instruction and data that a computer needs to perform that task. So computer memory is the collection of your storage units that stores your information. Which type of information? That information is your binary information in the form of bits. That is your computer memory. And this memory, complete memory block is divided into smaller components, smaller parts. These smaller parts are called your cells. And every cell, each cell has a unique address. Every cell has a unique memory address to store the data in the memory. Okay, you are not able to see the screen. Okay, that is memory. It is simply a collection of storage units that stores your basic information, your binary information in the form of bits. That is memory. And complete memory block is divided into small blocks. These small blocks are called your cells, and each cell has a unique address that is called your cell address. So memory is very essential element to the computer system, because without memory you cannot perform your even your basic task. Your first process, that is your post process, after power on self testing, the booting is also done with the help of your memory. The operating system is loaded into memory, primary memory, from secondary storage. So in a computer system, memory stores different types of your data. The data can be your multimedia data, that can be your audio, that can be your video, documents, images, anything. So it stores all type of data in the form of your bits, and this data is retrieved when it is required by the CPU to execute it. For execution, data is driven from the secondary storage to primary storage, primary memory. This work is done by your dispatcher. Swap in and swap out concept. This is done by the help of the dispatcher. So the CPU selects memory cells. The role of CPU comes here. The CPU selects the memory cells. Either you are reading the data or writing the data. What will CPU do? CPU will either read the data from the memory location or it will write the data on the memory location. It will be based on the task the user wants to the computer. Which type of task user want to accomplish in the computer. CPU will work according to that task. Either it will read that data from a particular memory location or it will write the data on a particular memory location. This is done by your central processing unit. So there are different types of your memory types of computers to suit the device needs according to your device. So there can be some characteristics for the memory in the computer. This may be your storage capacity. So different types of memories. So storage capacity varies for different types of memory in the computer. For example, you can say that storage capacity for external devices is measured in the form of bytes, while in case of your internal memory, it is measured in words or bytes also. The word length may also vary. The word length may be your 8-bit, 16-bit or 32-bit. And the unit of transfer measures the transfer rate, that is measured in bits per second. Units of transfer measures the transfer rate of bits that can be either in the reading or writing in and out of the memory devices. So the data transfer rate is different according to the internal devices or according to the external devices. So the data transfer rate is different in internal device and different in external device. For internal memory, it is usually equal to the word size. What is the word length of the memory? So for internal memory, it is equal to the word size. And for external memory, it can be your greater than the word length. The internal memory, that is computers inbuilt within it. And external memory is present as the separate storage. These devices are such as your USBs or any external hard disk. These are the external storage, external memory. And there are different methods to access the location, to access the memory. These types of methods you will read in your further semesters. This includes your direct memory access, DMA, that is also called your DMA, random access method. There are many methods. Basically, there are 4 types of methods to access the memory. And this memory can be either your volatile, non-erasable, non-volatile. So that physical behavior is also different of the memory. And the performance of that memory, that depends upon your access time, in what time it is accessing the resources, and its transfer rate. What is the transfer rate to access? And what is the total time taken by the memory device? How much time it is taking to read the data or to write the operations? That is called your access time. So the complete this time. So that is a computer memory in detail. So in the figure you can see that this is a memory hierarchy. Why it is important, why it is required. You can see that there is a pyramid-like structure where you can see registers, cache memory, main memory, some rigid optical disk, magnetic tape, secondary storage, and memories. This is your memory hierarchy. So in the computer system design, memory hierarchy is the enhancement to organize the memory according to optimize to minimize the access time. Actually, the goal of the system is to reduce the time complexity as well as the space complexity. So we want to minimize the access time. We want that it will take minimum time, optimum time to read the instructions, to read the data from memory and to write any data in the memory. So memory hierarchy is the enhancement to organize the memory. The goal of this hierarchy is to minimize the access time. This hierarchy was developed based on a program behavior. That program behavior is known as your locality of references. Locality of references means to check the data, either it is present in the registers, in the cache, in the main memory, or in the secondary storage, so that it can be read or written in a particular cell. That is your locality of reference. So it is the one of the most required things in the computer memory, because memory unit is very important. So it is the most required things in computer memory because it helps in optimizing the memory available in the computer systems. So there are different types of your memory levels, multiple levels that are present in the memory, and each level has different size, different access rate, different cost. For example, cache memory, that is faster memory. Registers are fastest, like cache and main memory are faster as compared to other types of memory. And some memory has higher storage, like as your secondary storage, your optical disk, your magnetic tape. High storage capacity. So some types of memory like cache and main memory are faster as compared to your other types of memory, but they have a little less size, and also they are costly, whereas some memory has a little higher storage value, such as your secondary storage, but their access time is slow, but they are a little slower in compared to your registers, primary memory, cache memory. So accessing rate or accessing the data from the memory, that is also not similar in all types of the memory. Some have faster access time, some have slower access time. As you can see that the access time in the registers, that is 1 to 2 nanoseconds. In L1 cache, this access time is 3 nanoseconds to 10 nanoseconds. And in L2 cache, it is 25 nanoseconds to 50. And in main memory, it is 50 to 90. And the secondary storage, it is increases to milliseconds. And the cost is also varies. Which memory level has high access time, that is the cost of that level is high in comparison to That's your secondary storage, because the access rate in the secondary storage is low. They are slower memory. Because the goal of the system is to reduce the time complexity. So the main memory hierarchy, that is mainly divided into two main types. The first one, first type, these comes under your main memory part. And second, after the fixed rigid disk to optical disk and magnetic tip, these comes your in secondary external types, external memory or external memory types, such as your magnetic disk, optical disk, your peripheral devices. These are your external memory or secondary memory storage devices. And main memory parts, your CPU registers, your memory, your cache memory. This is directly accessible by the processor. This is the internal main memory part. And according to the
Sorry,
main,
sir.
yeah,
Some
yes,
of our classmates are waiting for. Some of our classmates are waiting for admit them in this session.
yeah. What are you saying?
They are saying, please admit all of them in this session. They can't join.
Okay, they are not able to join. Okay, okay. Okay, there is one student. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now I'm sharing the screen. Now it is visible, my screen. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So according to the memory hierarchy, okay, the first one is your registers, then cache memory. These are two types of cache, that is your level 1 and level 2. After that, your main memory and secondary memory. Okay. Every level has your different size and your different implementation techniques. Your access time is different in all the levels, your bandwidth, and who manages which level of memory, and their backing mechanism, that is different in all the levels. Okay, first one is your registers. Registers are small and high speed memory units that are located in the CPU. These are the high speed memory units. These registers are directly accessible by the processor. Processor directly accessed data from registers. In the locality of reference level, registers comes in the first place. At first, the data is searched from the registers. Either it is present in the registers or not. If it is present in the registers, that it will save out to the processor. Otherwise, it will request will further move on to the cache memory. If the data will be present in the cache memory, it will be swap out to the processor. Otherwise, it will request to the main memory. This phenomena, this is called your locality of reference. So registers are very small, high-speed memory units that are located in the central processing unit. They are basically used to store the most frequently used. As it the most frequently used data and instructions. They are used in registers. They have very fast access time. The access time of the registers is very fast. And the storage capacity, that is very low. The size of the register may be less than 1 KB, and the access time is in nanoseconds, 1 to 2 nanoseconds. Actually, this is your 0 to 25 nanoseconds to 0 to 5 nanoseconds. And the bandwidth is in MB, 20,000 to 1 lakh MB. It is directly managed by your compiler system. And the backing mechanism of register is your this cache, L1 cache and L2 cache, which will come in the locality of reference in the second level. That are the registers. So registers are the fastest. Second comes with cache memory. That is also sometimes called cache memory. It is a small fast memory unit. It is also located close to the CPU. CPU directly access this cache memory also. It also stores very frequently used data instructions that have been recently accessed from the main memory, because it saves one copy of that data that is recently accessed from the main memory, so that next time if there is a requirement of that frequently used data, that will be directly accessed from the cache memory, then there is a no need of access the data into the main memory. So there is a need of your cache memory. So mainly it is designed to minimize the access time, the time it takes to access the data, by providing the CPU. If there is a frequently used data and the data is present in the secondary memory and it is required in the primary memory, the one copy of that data is stored in the primary memory. After that, one copy is passed to the cache memory. Cache memory also stores one copy of that data. If there is a requirement of any data, then processor directly access that data from the cache memory. The size of the cache memory is also not too big. The size is less than 16 less than 16 MB, and the access time is 3 to 10 nanoseconds. That is the access time. And it is managed by your hardware part. And the backing mechanism of your cache memory is your main memory. That is the main memory. The next is your main memory. Generally, main memory is also known as your RAM, random access memory. That is also known as main memory. If you are talking about the main memory, you generally see that is your RAM. That is also known as your primary memory. This memory communicates with your cache memory, your auxiliary memory, directly communicate between your secondary storage and cache memory. Because initially the data will be stored in the secondary storage. If there is a requirement of any execution, any process execution, then that data will be moved from secondary storage to primary storage for execution. So this type of computer memory keeps data and programs when the process is active to use them. When the process is active to use them. When there is a need of execution, when the program or data is activated for execution, the processor loads instruction from the secondary memory into the primary memory, into the main memory. Then it starts the execution. For the execution, the data must be present in your primary memory. So there are two types of your primary memory. First one is your RAM, and another is your ROM. We have already discussed the RAM and ROM. So RAM is the hardware that temporarily stores your data and programs. It is volatile in nature. If the system will be turned off, then this data will be erased. So it is volatile in nature. So it is volatile in nature also. So RAM is the hardware that temporarily stores the data and programs. So it is the faster part of the main memory, which can be directly accessed by the CPU. As I told that initially the data is stored in the secondary storage. If it starts execution, it comes into the RAM. It reads and writes programs until the computer is switched on. If it is switched off, then that data will be erased. So main memory is used to store the data and instructions that are currently in use by the CPU. So there are two types of your RAM. One is your static RAM and another one is your dynamic RAM. Static RAM and dynamic RAM. So static RAM stores the binary information in the flip-flops. It is static random access memory. This RAM stores your static data in the memory, which remains active until there is a power supply. And the binary information is stored in the flip-flops and information remains for until the power is supplied. In computer organization, you will learn about the flip-flops. What are the flip-flops? It has a faster access time. And cache memory is implemented with the help of your SRAM, static RAM. The implementation unit is that is your SRAM on the cache. So same size, all SRAM chips holds less data than DRAM. And it does not require a continuous refresh in SRAM. While DRAM dynamic, that is your dynamic RAM, dynamic random access memory, that is used to store the dynamic data storage. It stores the binary information, binary digits, binary as a charge on the capacitor. And every cell in dynamic RAM consists of 1-bit information. And a cell is composed of your transistor or a capacitor. They are very small in size. And the capacitor needs a continuous refresh to retain the information since it is volatile. If there is a change in the data, so it requires a refresh. So static RAM does not require a continuous refresh, but dynamic RAM requires a continuous refresh. The next type of that memory is your ROM. That is also called your read-only memory. That is your ROM part. Read-only memory. It is a permanent storage type. It is a part of primary memory, but it is a permanent storage type. This is a type of read-only memory that only reads the stored information. That only reads the stored information, but it doesn't have the capability to modify or write the information, the data. So it is non-volatile type in the memory of the computer. Rather, RAM is your volatile, but ROM is your non-volatile. Non-volatile means if the information stays even after the power cut or when the system has been shut down, still the information will be in the ROM. So there are different types of ROMs. ROM memory is also different types of ROM. So ROM family are distinguished by the methods used to write new data to them and the number of times they can be created. First comes your MROM. It was your oldest ROM, oldest read-only memory whose data is predefined, pre-configured by your ICs, integrated circuit manufacturers. So the user cannot change instructions stored with the MROM chip. In the MROM. Next comes your PROM. That is also called your programmable ROM. It is a digital ROM, read-only memory, which only once allow writing any information of the program. Only one time. That requires only one time to write the information or the program. And this writing is done by usually a special PROM programmer, or there is a requirement of burner device in the PROM part. Next comes your flash ROM. This type of read-only memory can be programmed or written in smaller units. That is called your sectors, your blocks. Then there is a concept of your flash ROM. It is used for transferring data signals between computers and your digital signals. So there is a concept of your flash ROM. The next is your EPROM. That is your EPROM, erasable and programmable ROM. It works in the same manner as PROM works. In this type of ROM, data can be erased as well as reprogrammed only once. Only once. It can store the data approximate 10 to 20 years. So there is a requirement of UV light to erase or reprogram EPROM. Ultraviolet light at least 40 minutes. There is a requirement of UV light for 40 minutes to erase and reprogram that EPROM. And it is stored for minimum 10 to 20 years. So the data can be recreated after this task, after the performed. So this is your EPROM. Next comes your EEPROM. EEPROM. That is your electrically erasable and programmable read-only memory. This allows data to be erased in high voltage electric charge. In EEPROM, it requires UV light, but in case of EEPROM, it requires your high voltage electrical charge. After that, it can be reprogrammed so many times, anytime, thousands of times. You can represent that, reprogram it. After that, you can reprogram it. Okay, there is one question. Dear sir, please share WhatsApp group. Okay, I will share it in the WhatsApp group. On our what is clock signals? Okay, what is clock signals? What are the clock signals in digital systems? Actually, it is a type of signal, clock signal, that oscillates between your high and low state. That describes your low and high state of your signals. Actually, computer understands your only these signals, these electric signals. These electric signals are represented in the form of 0 and 1. That's why we call it binary representation. So a clock signal is a particular type of signal that oscillates between these low and high state. This is a time. Okay. And this complete low and high, this is called a clock period. This is called a clock period. And you can say that how these signals are produced. A resonator is commonly referred to a crystal. These are your signals, clock signals that generally comes. So digital circuits rely on your clock signals. It depends on how to execute the functions at programmed. Okay. So clock signals generally keeps the system in motions in computer system. These are the clock signals. It describes your high and low states in the computer system. These are the global signals that result in long signal. Okay, this is your clock signal. Next is your secondary storage, the secondary memory. Where is your secondary storage? This is your secondary storage. So it is a permanent type of memory in computer that holds a large amount of data. Secondary storage is very large, and the access time of the secondary storage is also very low. Because if you require a small amount of data, you have to access in the large memory space. So it requires a lot of time to access the data from that storage. Initially, the data is stored in the secondary storage. Every data is stored in the secondary storage, and it is executed in the primary memory. So for execution, it requires the data must be present in the primary memory. So the access time increases if the data is initially stored in the secondary storage. So it is a permanent type of memory in computer that holds a large amount of data. This is an external memory that represents your different storage media, where the data and instructions, the programs are saved for a long time. But this secondary storage, the secondary memory, cannot directly accessed by the CPU. It is not directly accessible by the CPU. If data is present in the secondary storage, we cannot directly access the data from secondary storage by the CPU. So there is a requirement of your primary memory, cache memory, registers. The secondary storage is also very cheaper in comparison to your primary memory, but it is slower. The access rate, access time, the transfer rate is very slow in comparison to your primary memory. These are your non-volatile in nature, such as your hard disk, your solid-state drives, SSDs. These are non-volatile in nature. They have larger storage capacity. And in the memory hierarchy, they comes in the last according to their access time, and the cost is very low. These may be your hard disk, your compact disk, your pen drive, your magnetic disk, your magnetic tape. Hard disk, that is also, you know that what is hard disk. Hard disk is a type of your permanent computer memory that stores your programs, files, and data. It is mounted on the motherboard of the computer that doesn't lose the data even when it is power off. Your magnetic disks are your circular plates that are fabricated with either a metal or a plastic body, or either it can be your magnetized material. The magnetic disks work at high speed inside the computer. These are frequently used, either your magnetic tapes. Magnetic tape is same as your magnetic recording device that is covered with a plastic film, like your plastic film records. It's generally used for the backup of data. The access time for the computer is little slower. So there is a requirement of extra accessing strip in the magnetic tapes. So according to your access time, your capacity, and your performance, the memory hierarchy is used. As we move from top to bottom the hierarchy, the capacities increases. You can see that. As we move from top to bottom the hierarchy, the capacities increases. And the access time, it is also increases in the hierarchy, but the performance is decreases from top to down bottom, because the performance depends on your access time, and the access time of the registers is very high, which have small storage capacity. They have less access time. And second is storage capacity. The size may be greater than 100 GB, and the implementation technique in the secondary memory, that is your magnetic, and the access time, that is your 50 lakh nanoseconds. And this operating system, this secondary memory is managed by your operating system. The task of the function of operating system is to manage the memory. He manages each main memory and secondary memory. This is managed by operating system, while the registers are managed by your compiler. Registers are managed by your compiler, and your cache memory is managed by your hardware. But your main memory, RAM, ROM, or your secondary memory that is managed by your operating system. Operating system is a system software that is an interaction between user and hardware. So software, next topic is your software. One student also said that software. Software is simply a set of instructions or data or programs that is used to operate computers and execute a specific task. That is your operating system. That is your software. While hardware describes your physical aspects of computer, but software describes the programs that are used to operate computers to execute a particular task. So nowadays, you use software for generic term as applications, script programs that generally run in your system, in your mobile phone. That is termed as software. It can be thought of as a variable part of the computer. So there are mainly two types of software. Software is simply a set of programs to execute a particular task to run a system properly. That we use memory. There is one question, sir. Every computer has their own storage, and which we divide to different drivers, and we usually store our Windows in C drive. My question is, what type of memory is this? Is belong to RAM, ROM, main memory, or okay? Initially, every data which you store in the system, that is your secondary memory. Either your operating system, your any program, your any data, that is initially stored in the secondary storage. That is not primary memory. Either it is in your C drive, in a D drive, any drive. Okay, that is stored in the secondary memory. That that memory is your secondary memory. If there is a requirement of any resources to execute a particular program, that is called a process. During this process execution, that data is moved from that secondary storage to the primary storage, primary memory. Initially, everything is in the secondary memory. If there is a requirement of any resources, any primary units in the process execution, then that data will be moved out from the secondary storage, swap out from the secondary storage, and it is swapped in the primary memory. And this procedure, swap in and swap out procedure, this is done by a unit that is called your dispatcher. The role of dispatcher is to swap in and swap out of these data from the memory and into the memory. Okay. Next question is, sir, we take the instruction to the computer, how these instructions will be executed and where these instructions will be stored. Okay. I am showing you a process states. Wait a minute, I am showing you a process state. Then you will Are you able to see this data? If there is any slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now you can understand how a process is executed. Okay. Your question is instructions in the computer will be executed. Okay. How the instruction, how the process is executed. Okay. Now you can see here. Is it visible? Okay. Initially, okay. Initially, when the process is created, it comes in the its new state. That is your new state. If the process in the instruction is in the new state, it means it is created. If this means process is created for execution in the new state. Okay. If there is a requirement of any execution, if there is a requirement of any resources, then it will move to its ready state in the next state. This is your ready state. Then that instruction, that process will move to a ready state. In the ready state, there may be a number of processes which are waiting for your execution. In the ready state, there may be a number of processes which are waiting for your execution. So in the ready, there is maintained a queue that is called your ready queue. And in the ready queue, we use different algorithms for allotting the CPU to a current instruction or current process. If the process requires the CPU, then this process will be moved to your running state. Running state means the processor is now allocated to the that process, that instruction. Now that instruction is allotted to our CPU. Now this process is executing in the running state. If the process in the running state means the CPU, the processor, the main memory that is now allotted to that instruction or that process in the running state. Now the process will be executed here in the running state. If it is successfully executed here, then this will be moved out from the is running state and it will be moved to the end state. In the new state means the process is swapped out from the secondary storage to the primary. After that, it is moved to the running store in the main memory in the processor. After execution, it is moved out. Here is swapping process. After execution, it is swap out from the main memory. Now it is again the secondary storage. If there is a requirement of any input out operation in the running store, it will move to in the next state that is called waiting state. In the waiting state, there is also a number of processes that are waiting for any input output operation request. Either it is reading operation, either it is write operation. It will also wait here. It will also wait for its turn. If it is executed in the waiting state, if it is done in the here, it will again move to ready state. Then it will again move into its next state, running state. Running state is the part where the process, where the instruction is executing. Is if there is any interrupt in that part in the running state, then that process will again move to its ready state, and here it will also wait for its time for execution. That is a complete execution cycle. This is the complete execution time. How the process instruction is executed, how this instruction executed from secondary memory to primary storage. That is a complete execution time. Is it clear? I think now it is clear. Okay, this is the instructions, how these instructions are executed from secondary to primary, primary to how there is a requirement of this. Next is your next unit is your software. what are the software. We will discuss some basics about the software. After that, I will share some notes in the software also in the next class. But today we will discuss about some basics of the software. Okay. So software is a set of instructions, data or programs that is used to operate your computers and to execute your specific task for a particular task. We have designed a software. Okay. So the two main categories of softwares are your application software and your system softwares. Okay. And application software is that that fulfills a specific need to perform tasks. For example, in your phone, we are using a Google Meet. That is the application software because we are using it for a particular task. And it is the application software. And system software are those type of software that are designed to run a computer's hardware and that provides a platform for all the applications to run. That software is called your system software. For example, your operating system. Operating system is the system software because without operating system, it is not possible to run the computer system. So that is your operating system, that is your system software. And application software runs over your system software. For example, your Windows browser, your any applications, your games. These are your application softwares. One more term comes, that is your middleware. Other type of software include your programming software. So middleware is sits between your system software and applications, like your driver software, which operates your computer devices and peripherals. For example, for a printer, there is a requirement of printer driver. If there is not any printer driver, then you cannot print any page, any data. So in the initial time, the early software that were written for specific computers, and that also run on a special hardware because they are designed for a specific computer and sold with the hardware in that. Every early software. So early software was written for specific computers and sold with the hardware that is in that system. But in the 1980s, software was started to sold in your floppy disk, your CD, DVD. But nowadays, you can directly purchase or download the data, download the softwares from the internet over the internet. You generally download your softwares from your vendor websites, software vendor websites, application service provider websites. You just pay some amount of money, you just pay some amount, and you directly download from there. So system software was your software was designed to run a computer's application programs and hardware. So system software coordinates the activities and functions of the hardware and software. It controls the operation of your computer hardware and provides a platform, you can say an environment, to run all other types of softwares that can work on the system software. So operating system is the best example for the system software because operating system manages your all the computer programs. And application software, this is a very most common type of software, application software, which you discuss in your daily life. If anyone is talking about software, you generally say that application software. So application software is a computer software package that performs a specific function for a user. It is generally a set of programs to run an application. For example, your database software, your graphics software, your web browser, word processor, any image editing tools, any communication platforms, all are your application software. And next is your middleware, that is your driver softwares. This software is often considered type of system software. In some books, it is also considered a type of system softwares. It controls the devices and peripherals connected to that computer systems to perform that specific task. So every device that is connected to the computer, that needs at least one device driver to function. If you are connecting a scanner in the system, if you are connecting a printer in the system, or any other device, or in camera in the system, then there is a need of drivers for proper functioning of that device. For example, your USB storage devices, keyboards, headphones, printers, everything needs its drivers to run properly, to execute. So middleware describes the software that mediates between your application and system softwares, or between these two different kinds of applications. For example, your middleware can enable between your Microsoft Windows to talk to your Excel or Word. It can also use to send a remote work, an application on a computer to the other operating system. Okay. So these are different types of your applications and system softwares which are used. Okay. So for the next class, kindly share some topics which you want to discuss with me. Okay, we will discuss on those topics. We will cover on those topics. Okay, students, I will share this PPT in the group. And in the next class, kindly share some topics in which we will discuss. In the previous class or in the message, there is only one student who have shared that we will discuss about memory and all these things. Okay, is it clear?
Okay, sir.
Okay. I will share all this PPT. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, class. We will meet soon. Okay, class. You may leave. If there is any questions, you can ask me. Otherwise, you may leave the class. Okay.
Have a good time, sir.